Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And today we're diving into news and week in review, where we're going to go over a bunch of news pieces, the various videos of the week, the games I played, a slight mini topic of the week. I might want to do a full video on this, so we'll only loosely dive into it, and maybe you'll guide the full video by telling me what you want to hear more about. But with that, let's go ahead and start this off. As usual, we have timestamps and links to everything down below. But starting off with our news, the first thing we have, and I don't actually have the right link over here, I couldn't find the right link, but Asmodee basically announced that they're going to have price cuts on Catan, Ticket to Ride, Splendor, a few other games are basically getting MSRP slashes. They're going down. The link over here is the last time they raised MSRPs, and maybe not the last time, they may have done it several times, I don't know, but in case you didn't know, over the past several years, a lot of companies have raised MSRPs. It's something that came along with the freight increases, the increased shipping, all these things raised prices. Recently, a few weeks ago, I talked about how I talked about how Flat River Group was lowering a few MSRPs, and now Asmodee is following suit as well. So we are seeing some prices reduced, which could be a good thing. Either it represents some horrific, loss in demand and the market rebalancing around that, or represents costs actually going down. Hopefully more the latter, but we'll see. From there over here, we have Polygon had an article on Terraforming Mars and AI art. This is a very worthwhile read in my opinion. To me, my personal biggest takeaway, and I understand, the biggest thing I want to say is I've read this entire article. I haven't read whatever 7 threads there are that give additional information, so if I'm missing something, I'm sorry, I apologize. But the biggest takeaway I had in this was that effectively, the studio that does the art for Terraforming Mars is Firaxis Games. Like, they work with Stronghold Games to make Terraforming Mars. And so, they were the ones who did the art, mostly with, clip art and whatever for Terraforming Mars, and they're the ones who want to use AI art, which means there are still questions, of course, around AI art, and is it copyright, all that, but in terms of taking jobs from people, the artists in this case are the ones using the tools. Now, the artists, if AI art is theft, then you still have the issue of theft, regardless of the artist being involved or not. But I just thought it was an interesting conversational piece about the AI art from Stronghold Games, because I'm not here to defend or attack AI art, although I may do so in a different video at a different point. We may dive into it properly, or semi-properly, because I can't imagine it's easy to do that one properly. But in this case, I'm not here to defend so much as to point out that, again, if you think AI art is theft, that's a different conversation, and that still is going to have its own problems. But if you're concerned with, hey, large company taking jobs from artists, technically speaking, if you take everything in this article at face value, it's the artists themselves who are choosing to use the AI art. I just thought that was an interesting tidbit. I'm realizing now I'm going to have, way too many people upset at me for even partially, possibly defending Stronghold Games. I'm not even doing that yet. I'm just more intrigued by that aspect of the conversation. Anyways, moving on from there, we have Dicebreaker. Dicebreaker announcing that Cthulhu Death May Die universe, which is otherwise the Cthulhu universe. What am I missing here? So, one step at a time. CMON basically had CMON Expo. They announced a few things. We'll talk about the next one in a second. But one of the things they announced is Cthulhu Dark Providence by Martin Wallace and Travis Chance. The third edition of A Study in Emerald. Study in Emerald had a first edition, a second edition. This is now the third edition, so that notoriously out-of-print game is now going to be available in the Cthulhu Death May Die universe, which to me is the Cthulhu universe. I guess it's not true. If they have characters from Cthulhu Death May Die, then that's the Cthulhu Death May Die universe. So maybe it's the Cthulhu Death May Die universe. Moving on, we have Zombicide DCeased. This is obviously going to be a big deal. We have DC and zombies coming to Zombicide, so it's going to be cross-compatible with Marvel Zombies, in case you're interested in that. I assume it'll do well. I mean, we have 5,000 followers right now. I assume it'll do well. I do not assume it's going to do Marvel Zombies well. If I had to guess, I'd say in the high 4s, low 5 millions. That's my guess, but it's hard to really say. We saw White Death, Zombicide White Death saw a large resurgence at the end of the campaign, but in general, there is a degree of fatigue around crowdfunding in general, around big box games, and around games that have seen a million versions of them. So we'll see what happens to Zombicide DCeased. Again, I think high 4s, low 5s is my prediction for how well it'll do, but could do far, far worse, and I wouldn't even be surprised. If this thing did, under 2 million, I'd be a little surprised, but not drastically so. And if it did over 6, I'd be fairly surprised. Moving on over here, we have Cool Stuff Inc. no longer selling board games and RPGs, supposedly. I could not find an official confirmation of this, but it does line up with my own experience of Cool Stuff Inc., which is, over the past, over the past 10 years, Cool Stuff Inc. was actually the store that I placed my first board game order at when I first got into board games. And for a while I bought from them, but then my purchases shifted over to Miniature Market and Game Nerds. I don't know if there's a particular reason. I think prices were always a few dollars higher, and so it just made sense. But if you go on Cool Stuff Inc. right now, they have like no board games for sale. Not like literally none, but very, very few, to the point of being almost no board games for sale. And there's a little article over here on Reddit talking about how supposedly they are focusing on card games only, and they are no longer going to have no longer going to be selling board games and RPGs. That's a supposed piece of information from, like, you know, managers or store managers or whatever. I don't know exactly, but it does line up with what I'm seeing. So Cool Stuff Inc. possibly no longer selling the cool stuff quite as much. I mean, I guess they're still selling cool stuff, but not board games. Board games are the real cool stuff, let's be honest. Moving on over here, we have Through the Desert, A Message from the Stars, and Switchbacks. This is AllPlay's newest project, and the most notable one here is they are going to have Through the Desert. Through the Desert is from Reina Knizia, has been through several reprintings. This is going to be the newest one, and so I'm curious how well this crowdfunding campaign does. I'm also intrigued by, as usual, the other box games in general. I assume we're going to have big box, small box, small box, although Message from the Stars looks like it could be big box, so it might be big box, small box. Basically, AllPlay has two main sizes, but either way, I'm intrigued by all of them as usual, but that's going to be coming to crowdfunding as the next campaign. We have Quilts and Cats of Calico. This is currently in open beta. They have beta testing starting meow, very appropriately. So if you want to check this game out, this is Calico, but it's over on Steam. If you want to check out the Steam version of Calico, that's where you can go ahead and see this over here. And I will try to include a link to the beta down below. If you want to join the beta, there should be a link to a Google form down below. Make sure to check that out. But basically, if you want to play Calico on Steam, if you want to check it out and see what it's all about, play it against the computer, play it asynchronously, whatever. I haven't actually, I've played this, I think, once so far on the app, so I'll have to check it out. But I know they have, you know, AI play, and they have play against other friends and whatnot, so that you can check that out as well. We have over here, we have Horizon Forbidden West Seeds of Rebellion is coming to Kickstarter. Steamforged Games is basically bringing in Horizon Zero Dawn back to crowdfunding, but they're bringing it back with Forbidden West, which means it's going to be a new thing. This already is going to be their blog article, so you can check that out. But it talks about the original Horizon Zero Dawn, talks about the differences, what's new. There's going to be more narrative. There's going to be fully cooperative gameplay as the focus. Horizon Zero Dawn got a bit of a bad rap of being a semi-cooperative game that was not necessarily thematically, it didn't really work as well semi-cooperative. But if you went full co-op, then instead you had a game that was too easy. So this one, they're prioritizing the fully cooperative mode, which is what people seem to have wanted, and balancing around that. So we're going to hopefully see how that plays out. And then, of course, new machines. So we're going to have this gigantic guy in his own gigantic box, I assume, just based off Horizon Zero Dawn, if anything to go by. I hope that I can have more content on Horizon Zero Dawn on the channel before this goes live. This is going to be coming November 21st, though, so I don't have that much time. I recently just reread the Horizon Zero Dawn rulebook in preparation to properly dive into it. I've played it several times now, but I keep playing it like, you know, partial experiences. I really want to give the at least the core box a full-on playthrough before I go ahead and properly review it. The multiple partial plays is not really enough, unfortunately. So I want to dive into that, be able to give you a proper opinion about the game. Obviously, it's going to be a different version of it, but building off that same infrastructure, I assume. We have D.E.I. over on Board Game Arena. I mentioned this is coming a while ago, but they've entered open beta. So if you want to play D.E.I., you can do so. I just started my first game over on Board Game Arena. I'm excited to play because D.E.I. is fantastic. I love it a lot, and I'm excited people will be able to see it. Although I will say, I think Blood Rage is fantastic, and I do not think Blood Rage translates well to BGA. So if you play it on Board Game Arena and you don't like it, that just might not be, you know, it might be a Board Game Arena thing. It might be a Board Game Arena and DEI thing. It might not be that DEI is not for you. It also might be that DEI is not for you, and I should probably remember not to force my own choices on you as often as I try to. Then we have over here, we have a little pop-up there. Sea Salt and Paper, Extra Salt. This is going to be coming to you from Pandasaurus Games. Very large in my browser. I wonder why it's so large. I don't know why. But either way, Sea Salt and Paper is getting an expansion, Extra Salt, for those who are interested in that game. And then lastly, we have Yokohama getting a reprint as well. So a whole lot of expansions and reprint news today. And for me, that's going to segue nicely into the topic of the week, because the topic of the week is specifically around DCeased and Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West. Specifically about the fact that I feel I've been more tapped out, not in my interest in these types of games, but in my the futility around recognizing, as some of these games hit crowdfunding, the futility of kind of recognizing I'll never properly be able to give them all the time and attention I want to in many cases. Dragon Eclipse is another one recently. I just played Dragon Eclipse. I have coverage over my channel. You can check that out. I really enjoyed Dragon Eclipse. I thought it was excellent. And I know that I'm still trying to play through ISIS Vanguard and like 7,000 other games. I am playing through campaign games. I've been playing through Gloomhaven and Frosthaven and Hoplomachus and Roleplay Adventures and many other games, and I will continue to play through campaign games. But I can't possibly keep up with them, and there's so many good ones. And so, with things like DCeased, I am both excited about DCeased coming, and I also recognize that I have an entire Marvel Zombies and I have White Death coming. And how much Zombicide do I need, especially because I have Zombicide on my shelves and Zombicide in transit, and there's just too much Zombicide. So I'm kind of like both excited about DCeased while also being fatigued by it. In the case of Horizon Zero Dawn, I know how many boxes there were the first time, and I like that game. I like it even in its current state. The current version, Horizon Zero Dawn, for the original one, not Forbidden West, I think it has issues, but I do like the game, and I kind of wish I had more time or energy or attention. But the practical reality is, once I go through that, unless playing it through fully surprises me, I think it's gonna be in a place where I like it, but I like it enough to continue playing it here and there, and not enough to justify the 15 boxes it takes up compared to other campaign games or other big boxes. I'd rather play the 15 boxes of Massive Darkness over Horizon Zero Dawn. It doesn't mean I don't like Horizon Zero Dawn, it means I like Massive Darkness more, and there's only so much big box miniature stuff you can have. So more and more these days, I find myself seeing these giant campaigns and being interested in them, very interested in them, but recognizing that more and more I don't have the attention or time to give them as much as I want. And so big box fatigue is really the topic of the week. I might do a full video on this at some point, especially with all these things coming up. So I guess what I'm interested in is, what are your thoughts or opinions on big box fatigue? What things would you like me to talk about or to cover or to focus on? Or what, I don't know, what aspects in general? There's so many aspects of the conversation to focus on, in terms of, the fact that you get all the expansions at once, in terms of the fact that you're constantly being pitched the new thing again and again and again, in terms of how much content these games shove into your face, because 500 hours of content once upon a time was a merit, now it's a homework assignment. So what aspects do you possibly want to see me go into in a full video? Because I will probably do a full video on this subject. It's interesting because I don't think that my fatigue, or your fatigue, or whoever's fatigue, should take away from someone else's enjoyment. I've seen over the years, I've been in crowdfunding for a while now, I've seen over the years many people being like, oh, I'm done, I'm finally out. And I think there is an arc of people getting in and out. Now, I'm still in, I'm just in with more conservative, like, I've talked about this in the past, I'm still very excited about crowdfunding, I'm still very excited about Kickstarter. I found that I had to cut back financially on buying as many games as I was, and so I chose crowdfunding as a place to cut back heavily. But I'm still very interested, I just choose to be much more selective about which campaigns finally do get my dollar or not. But yeah, I'm going to have a conversation about it, a full conversation at some point, which means it might show up in the next week, it might show up in the next 7 weeks, we'll find out. But that is going to be the topic of the week, which brings us to the weekend review, starting off with the games I played. And for the games I played, we have a bunch over here. As usual, we have a bunch. First of all, we have Codenames Duet. I got a chance to play Codenames Duet several times this past week, which has been a while since I played Codenames Duet. I've been playing more Codenames. Codenames Duet has been languishing on the shelf a bit more, but it's just as good as it always has been. It is consistently a good time. Codenames Duet is all the fun of Codenames, but it was the two-player experience and an extra degree of strategy because of the way you can mirror knowing which cards are coming from each other's players. Codenames is a game that I actually have, well, I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say anything. I have a video coming up with Codenames, it's going to be in there, but Codenames is one of the best games in my collection. The sheer cost of the game, the amount of plays I've gotten out of it, the fact that you can play it, you can play it Codenames regularly, you can play pictures, you can play it Duet, you can play it online. They have a new app coming out as well that's going to give you even more ways to experience Codenames. I think Codenames is an absolutely fantastic experience, and then we're going to dive to the next game I played, because I want to talk about more things, but I can't remember which ones I was going to talk about. So, Honeybuzz. Honeybuzz is the next one I'm going to talk about, which Honeybuzz is excellent. I had a chance to dive into Honeybuzz again this past week. I still think it needs the expansion for me, or the expansions that will be coming out, because I think Honeybuzz is great, but also I've played it enough times in the base game that I feel like I've seen what the game has to offer while still enjoying it. So I just got to play it this past week, and I kind of cemented that where it is with Honeybuzz, where I am with Honeybuzz, is I think it is excellent. I do enjoy it very much. I've played the game 10 plus times by now, but I kind of want the expansions to really solidify where the game ends up for me. And then lastly, let's talk about, which one I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about, I don't remember. I don't remember which I was going to talk about. I'm just going to talk about a game here. I usually pick at least 3. I don't know what it was. I don't know. Let's go with Critter Kitchen. Why not? Critter Kitchen is a game I had a chance to play at Gen Con, and I played it again recently. I will have review coverage up for the campaign, I assume, but so far I'm still very much enjoying Critter Kitchen, while feeling that my first play was at 5 players, my second play was at 3, and I think 5 was better. I think that 5-player game really had a lot more nuance going on, and I want to try it at 4 next to see how 4 feels. But overall, I like Critter Kitchen a lot, but I think 5 players was a little longer than I want, but it gave me such a better experience. The game's all about rushing your various assistants, your sous sous chefs to the various marketplaces to gather ingredients to prepare for the courses across 6 rounds of play, and then the final food critic at the end of the game. And overall, it's a very satisfying experience, but 3 players I felt that the marketplace pulls were a little more predictable, not as fun or interesting or crazy. I think you really need those extra player counts. Again, 4, I'm curious if 4 is going to be a sweet spot for me, but I like Critter Kitchen. It's a solid game. I'll have both good and bad things to say about it when I finally do review it. And then, that brings us to the week in review, starting off with this past Saturday. This past Saturday, I did a video for That Is the Question. That Is the Question is the new Look Back series where we talk about 2 back and not to back. We engage in your questions. This week, there will not be a That Is the Question, or, well, that was last Saturday. This Saturday and this past week, there was not a That Is the Question. Just practically speaking, schedule-wise, we weren't able to make it work, but we will be looking back at your questions. The series is still in existence. The series is still coming back. We may miss next week as well. I'll be at WSBG, so I don't know. But ultimately, That Is the Question is still coming back. There have been a bunch of questions. We'll get to all those questions in the next video. Then later on Saturday, there was a review for, not a review, a review for Terraforming Mars, the dice game. I covered that one. I enjoy Terraforming Mars, the dice game. I think it's fun, but for me, it was a 3 out of 5. It kind of gave me, the Terraforming Mars is the reason that I was interested in the game, but the core gameplay experience is okay at best. I don't think it's amazing for me. I did get like a few comments from people like, oh, you don't like dice and games, and I was like, actually, here's a list of 7,000 games I have that I like dice and games. For me, the dice mitigation in Terraforming Mars is not rewarding to me, and what I found fun and good is I've seen a lot of people in my comments, both mirroring my opinion, as well as people who are like, no, I love it. So there are very much 2 camps in the game of people who are enjoying Terraforming Mars, the dice game, and people who are kind of like, not as much for me. And I'm happy. I'm happy there's an audience for the game. The audience is, well, just not me in this case. Then we have Monday. Monday we had a review for, not my review, we had, Sunday. Sunday we had a month in review for August, going over the month in review. I added a new section as well where I show other creators' videos that I particularly enjoyed. But past that, the same things, the games I played, the stats for the month, all those things, my favorite games, disappointments, all of that. If you want to see a recap of August, that was Sunday's video. Later on Sunday, I had a review, I had an unboxing for Deliverance. Deliverance had an unboxing. I need to play the game. I need to, I've already played it. I need to play it more so I can properly review it. But I really enjoyed the one play I have of it so far. I just need to get more plays under my belt first. On Monday, we had 2 back or not to back, going over all the crowdfunding campaigns. We will have again 2 back or not to back this coming week, I think. But the week after that, I think is going to be a holiday for me, so probably skipping that one. Then on Tuesday we had a preview for Storyburg. Storyburg is a cooperative deck building experiences with, fairy tales. Meg did the preview over there. You feel free to check that out. Then later on Tuesday, we had a review for Founders from This Way Games, same creators of Ice. I enjoyed Founders. Lots of pros of things that I enjoyed about the strategic deduction elements of the game. Ultimately, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I think strategic deduction is still a genre that doesn't fully encapsulate me, but I did enjoy the game, and I do want to dive into it more. There's also like a legacy mode. I'm curious to see where the game goes. As of right now, I enjoy it while wanting to see more of Founders. Then lastly, on Tuesday, we had a review for Beast Shattered Isles. Beast Shattered Isles, it gives you more content for the Beast game. I overall enjoyed the new content that they've added. It doesn't necessarily change my opinion of the game overall, but I definitely enjoy new characters, new monsters, new maps. I enjoy the runes experience they have. I enjoy the, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it, the powering up. There's a way to power up a card kind of to play as the first card of your turn. I'm forgetting what it's called, overloading cards. But yeah, lots of fun things in that. I did not officially give it a rating. I got a comment because I reviewed on, well, let's cover Wednesday first. On Wednesday we had gameplay for Aberration. Aberration is a lot of fun. I enjoyed that one. You can check that out. Meg did a preview, and then we did a gameplay of Aberration. That's going to be coming to GameFound. Then later on Wednesday we had a review for Hoplomachus, a first impressions for Hoplomachus Victorum, covering the content for that. And then last day Wednesday we had an unboxing for Tamashii from Awakened Realms. So going back to Hoplomachus and for Beast, both those I covered the expansions, but I didn't give either one a review, and I had someone's comments, saying, hey, does GameFound not want you to give reviews anymore? And the answer is no, I still give reviews, I still give scores to things that are on GameFound. The exceptions are, well, Dragon Eclipse I didn't because it's a first impressions of a prototype that only gave me a partial experience, and Beast and Hoplomachus are similarly expansions that did not give me all the content. And so as such, when I don't get all the content, I'm usually a bit more reluctant to actually give a review, so much as, give a score as opposed to my thoughts. I just find I don't know. I'm happy talking about my thoughts always, but giving a score to something I didn't get the full experience or some parts were missing always feels a bit trickier to me. But rest assured, GameFound stuff are still getting reviews they're still getting numerical scores when I review them, assuming they are complete packages. Then from there, that was Wednesday, which means it's Thursday. Thursday, I had top 10 kids games. It's been a while since I did a top 10 kids games video. It's been several years by now. So feel free to check that out if you're looking for my current batch of what I recommend the most for playing games with the kids. Then on Friday we had a Where Are They Now for September, looking back at 5 years worth of Septembers, as well as a deluxe games for September, going over the various Deluxifications, upgrades, inserts, all that kind of thing for the month of September. And with that brings us to today. Today we have a few things. We're going to have a few things going up. We're going to have a review for Sirens going up today, as well as a review for Art Society from Mighty Boards. The new game from Mighty Boards launching at Essen, I believe. You can check out both those out on the channel later today. And then we have next week. Next week we'll have a few things. I'm going to have a video of all of the games I need to review. This is a little vloggity video I did of just covering everything I'm overdue on reviewing. Some things that arrived a week ago, and some things that arrived, 6 months ago that I'm still backed up on and trying to review. And then we had, later this week, we're going to have the lowest cost per plays. My 10 lowest cost per plays. Meaning if you look at games that are both affordable and I have a lot of plays in, my absolute lowest cost per plays in my collection. And yes, there will be a highest cost per plays video coming in a future week. And that's basically everything, which means the games on the table we have the following. These are, as usual, the games I hope to be diving into this week. I hope to be getting into some more plays of Apiary. Already played this one. No thoughts and opinions yet. We'll talk more about that later. We have Brass Empire. This is from Rock Banner Games. Hope to dive into this one. I had a chance to demo it at Gen Con. I want to dive into a full game. We have Kelp, Shark vs. Octopus. I want to play this again. I've already played this as the Octopus. I have not yet played as a Shark. I want to do that before covering the game. And then we have Force Shuffle, which is from Lookout Games. I've heard a lot of good things about this one. It's also on BGA. I have not played it. I want to look into how to play it, and then, well, play it, because it's got forest cards, and it reminds me of Arboretum, so that looks fun. But that is everything. That is going to be your week in review. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I appreciate you being here, and as always, I hope you have a good one.